Honest to the ancestors and love to the world. Welcome back to it, ladies and gentlemen. Wellness Wednesday. Today I'm wrapping up the Detox series, climbing up the ladder. So today we're going to the tippy top of the ladder to reach heaven's gate, so to say. And I have a whiteboard behind me, so I just really wanted to just, before getting to anything else, just run through everything that we have gone through so far, right? So okay, so imagine the ladder in this sense, right? Imagine the ladder in this sense. And then there we go. So in the first episode, we basically covered the groundwork, the foundation for good detox, or for the foundation for us to actually even want to get into a detox, right? And also the foundation for actual, like, good eating habits. So that basically covered what do you call this? That covered intermittent fasting, which introduced the whole concept of fasting, and that the longer you let your body not be in the process of digestion, it goes into other processes. It allocates energy to other things like regeneration of cells, upregulating growth hormones, repairing of cells, also um, cleaning out the lymphatic system, and so on and so on and so on. So it was the intermittent fasting. It's eating less, you know, which basically speaks to also just making things a bit easier for your body, you know, and not putting too much pressure or too much toll on your body system. That way you also free up enough energy for your body to do other things and for you to also thrive. So that was like the foundational work, right? And then after the foundational work, we went to basically cleaning up the diet, meaning that you choose what you want to remove from your diet, whether it's sugar first, or it's starches first, or it's meat first. But you have to clean up the diet. You have to clean up things that cause acid and that cause a response in your body. And this would be your sugars. Let me actually say specifically your, what you call this, your processed sugars, right? Natural sugars, you don't need to worry about those. But your processed sugars, your starches, and what else? It's your processed sugars, it's your starches, and it's your dairies, and then it is your meats, right? So just basically cleaning that up here, taking your time with it, removing one thing at a time, because all of these things that I just mentioned are very addictive. And you can see this whenever I see this personally, whenever I'm talking to someone, and they see me whipping out like a bowl of fruits, and instinctively the first thing that they'll say is, I could never stop eating meat. Or if I'm talking to a broad or a young mommy, and I'm like, hey, how do you feel about a plant-based diet, or a plant-based meal, for our first date or at our date? And someone will say something like, I'm a meat person. Okay, so you see the association that we have with food. And basically, the first step on the ladder was just for us to really start de-associating ourselves with food, right? And then the second step up the ladder was us now. Okay, so now you're into the intermittent fasting, and now you are reducing the amount of food that you're eating. Now you are also reducing or removing certain types of foods from your diet. It's still a diet if you haven't removed acid forming foods. Because we are basically going up the ladder from diet, which is die silently, and to a livid, right? So we're moving from diet to livid. And I think the process of us entering a livid will probably be around here. Um, let's see if I'm wrong or right. So, first step is removing, and yeah, it's basically removing certain acid forming foods, right? Second step is now what you call this. Second step is now looking at food combinations. Now, food combinations should be the foundation. They should be the foundation, but second step really is looking at food combinations. So, with food combinations, it's basically us looking at also looking at how when we combine certain types of foods, they create certain types of reactions, or they require certain types of what do you call this? They require certain types of trying to find the right word for this. Certain types of acids or chemicals to be secreted by your body for your body or for your stomach to actually break them down, right? Now, biologically speaking, we are lactose intolerant. We can only break down lactose, which is milk, in our infant stage. And what happens is that that lining in the stomach that allows that allowed our stomach to break down milk, it falls away naturally, right? This is when you start seeing your kid becoming very, very gassy. That means that lining has fallen off, and now your child is effectively lactose intolerant. Yes, even to your milk as a human, right? So I could be wrong, but check me on that. I could be wrong. Um, and then from that point on, when we look at ourselves biologically, we have classes of species or animals. You have your carnivores, you have your omnivores, you have your herbivores, and then you have your frugivores, right? Now, biologically speaking, we closely resemble frugivores, biologically speaking, meaning from the teeth to our digestive tract to our mannerisms in society, our our receptors, our eyes, in the sense that our eyes pick up color, um, as opposed to other animals. We only have one stomach, as opposed to herbivores. We have multiple stomachs, and there's a couple of other what do you call this? There's a couple of other traits, but when you just look at it and you're like, am I an omnivore? No. Am I a carnivore? No. Um, am I a herbivore? No. And that leaves us with frugivores. Check it out. Do your own research, right? So now that would mean that from the moment we stop taking nourishment through our mother's milk, that means that we are supposed to start eating fruits as children, right? That doesn't happen that way for a lot of us, but this is the age of information, and I am bringing forth this information, and there are others who also have brought forth this information and laid the foundation. And You do whatever you feel is right with the information, but let's just keep it moving, right? So we get to the step, and now we've discussed and we talked about vegetarianism, which is also just on this step, removing certain types of foods and making it so here it's just basically making it a lifestyle instead of just doing a 7-day, 14-day, 21 detox and then returning to the way that you've been eating. Transition. So here we were talking about transitioning more than anything else, transitioning to either a vegetarian lifestyle, a pescatarian lifestyle, a vegan lifestyle, mm, which is like almost there. We almost get into the limit, right? We almost get into the limit, but we're halfway there. We're sitting on the fence because it's at this juncture that we are now conscious eaters. You are now consciously aware of the type of things that you're actually putting into your body, right? So now, as we get higher up, then we get to here. Now, the closer we get higher up, the closer we get to the truth of things, not the meat of things. You know what I mean? So, here, talked about frugivores. Basically, brought forth the information that I just mentioned earlier about how we are originally frugivores. We are originally meant to eat an all fruit diet, right? Um, and we really do and can get all our sustenance and nutrients from fruits. We really can all the time, you know. So that was this point right here. Now we are here at the limit. Now the limit, we are more conscious of our bodies. We are more conscious of the food that we eat. Um, we also come to the realization that you actually can live without consuming food. A lot of people have said that why is it that my grandmother lived up until her 90s, her hundreds, she was eating chicken and all of that and all of that. I'm like, okay, cool. And she didn't get like very sick a lot, you know. In in the context of South Africa, my grandmother grew up in the rural areas. They call it the rural areas, in a village area, in a village. And let's just say she grew up in a village, and in a village they had a certain type of lifestyle. That lifestyle where she mainly ate fruits and vegetables, and they would occasionally eat meat. This is now the lifestyle that my grandmother lived on. From her being a child, she was breastfed into her becoming an adult. And when she became an adult and started having kids of her own, which is now my uncles and my mom and them and all of them, she she basically continued that way of living, but also she got integrated because now she moved from the village into a township, and you know she got hip to the TV, to the radios. She got hit by the marketing, and till this day, she's just not really big on takeaways or fast food, so to say. She's really all about that cooking even now. Um, and she's in her 90s right now. And I'll say that when my grandma was in her 70s, she was healthier than my mom in her 40s. My mom in her 40s was like hella sick. Like she had headaches every single day. She popped Panado, Disprin, all of them things on a daily basis, and this is a woman going into her 40s and well through almost through like her 40s, midway to her 50s. That's when I got hip to this information. um, you know we started having those conversations, and she's removed meats, mostly meats from a diet, because now in her generation she raised us to eat meat on a daily basis, as opposed to what my grandmother did, where she raised them to eat pap and all of these things it's like starches and vegetables and fruits, mostly, as opposed to eating meat. Meat was like the occasional thing. For us, meat was a daily thing, and then we had fast food as an occasional thing. But now my generation now has flipped it, has has risen it, or actually has lowered it to say that now the kids that come from my generation have meat every day, have starches every day, have dairy every day, have fast food every day. They eat pre-eat processed food every single day. This is my generation now. And now when I look at my generation, um, I've dated women who now I'm 33 this year. I'm 33. Dated a woman in my 30s, or in my early 30s when I was 30, still in my early 30s when I was 30, and this woman was 26, 27, and she had second tits. My mother, even now, when I was still in high school and she would just walk around in the house, my mother had perky tits. It was beyond me when I first started having sex, and my first sexual experience was with a woman that was older than me. I was 16 and she was like 23, 24. She had second tits. That's beyond me. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it for the life of me. And then I started getting into this information. Like, whole time, this food that we have been eating really is taking our life away. It really is taking our vitality away on a cellular level. I have to actually just emphasize this, on a cellular level. So hence we get to that whole thing, like, how is it then now, right now, we are still alive, eating how we're eating, putting our bodies through hell basically, because acid is synonymous with fire. So we literally burning ourselves, and which is ourselves, on a daily basis. How are we still alive? It's through the air. Air is the first thing that you consumed when you left your mother's womb. Oof. Let me say that again. Air is the first thing that you consumed when you left your mother's womb. It is the first nutrient that you received. In the best setting, it would be air and sunlight. Now, we can go for 90, 100, 200 days without food. We can go for maybe 90 to 100 days without H2O, right? What we know as drinking water. We cannot go more than an hour without air. We can go for some time without sunshine or without the sun, but for mostly melanated people, our quality of life is best when we get the most sunlight. If you aren't getting enough sunlight, your quality of life is probably poor. You probably make bad decisions. You probably have bad thinking habits. You probably have a lot of bad habits, just in general. That's because everything that we consume is information. When you eat a fruit, it is light code that has been transformed and translated and converted by the biochemical processes of a tree, using the minerals found within the ground, creating light code and information. When you consume it, you consume DNA, which is information, or DNA carries information. When you absorb the sun directly, you are directly absorbing information into your body. And we know this how, because when you absorb the sun, when you absorb the sun, you create vitamins in your body. Hence the word vitamins. Vita being meaning vitality, mins amen as in amen ra. So when you eat your fruits, you are getting light cold from the sun. When you absorb the sun, or when you are what you call this in the presence of the sun, you absorb information. Um, but that also depends on how light your vessel is. If you are full, meaning that you've been eating starch and blood, your 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 ability to absorb information is very low, because now when you eat blood and starch, you become dehydrated, and you need hydration for you to be able to properly uh, break down the sun, because we also, as melanated people, take the sun or protons and we put them through a process of photosynthesis and synthesize vitamins. You see, so man, like our body whole time is a whole, it's a whole jump, right? So there's this concept in Hinduism or in ancient Indian culture called pranayama. Um, you know, and it's basically just saying that air carries an electrical charge, and since we are bioelectrical beings, we need fuel to live or to operate this machine. Um, air can provide enough sustenance or enough nutrition for us to carry our body proficiently, um, and also taking into consideration that there's also hydration that you find in the air. There's also light that you find in the air. So air is like your middle ground, basically. The the minerals that you use from the ground through your fruits, that you also have within your body, um, are really there just to magnetize oxygen, hydrogen, all these higher gases, right? All these higher gases, um, and to synthesize them, you know, for fuel in the body for yourself. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, so there are people called breatharians. Now, breatharians are people that eat little to nothing, and they literally live off breath, mostly through breath and sunlight. That's also another thing. Breath and sunlight. They spend a lot of their time in the sun, doing qigong, energy cultivating exercises, and that really is like the peak of the, what do you call this? That really is the peak of, what do you call this? Of the ladder of lights. Literally becoming a light cold vessel. Because like I mentioned earlier, the lighter that you are, the more information that you can absorb from the sun. So this is how people like Gandhi were able to like fast for like a long period of time, just eating what do you call this? Just eating hemp seeds, right? It's mainly because of our body's ability to sustain itself only on sunlight and air for an extended period of time, right? I don't know about anyone who's done this for like 10, 10 years or going to 20, 30 years, I don't know anyone. But I do know of someone who has done it for more than 5, 6, 7 years now. It's proven to all of us that we can live off air and sunshine. Now that's good. That is good. Now I can just imagine how much time you would have, because now if you're not eating, that means you're not eliminating anything. There isn't a need for you to eliminate, to take shit. There isn't a need for you to prepare food. That just frees up a whole lot of time and energy, right? It's just the possibilities, though. It's just the possibilities. So, wherever you find yourself on the ladder, get yourself on the ladder. Climb up the ladder of life. Get wherever you don't need to get to the tippy top. You know, get to a point where you feel you're comfortable. And it's gonna be challenging, of course, but you have to accustom yourself to things that you aren't accustomed to for you to be accustomed to them. And then once you become accustomed to them, you are comfortable within them. Then it's easy. So take your time with it. Don't rush yourself. Because if you rush, you will crash. Otherwise, that's it for me. I love you. Thank you. Check out all of the other videos. If this is the first one that you jump onto, check out all the other videos for more context. This is a bit too late. As a disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor. I am not a health professional. Please do your own research and live a long life. Peace.